1, 2, 3, 4. All
right, welcome back to Country and Cold Cans. I'm Logan, sitting here with Kyle and trucker Andy. Andy, that does not look like your 18-wheeler.
Yes, it's just a slightly smaller truck today.
So you're sitting in your pickup?
Yep. You know, there's something the ladies love about a pickup, man.
What is it about you just always recording from your pickup? Do you not have a house?
No.
Well,
would you rather me sit by a dumpster?
I mean, I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting. It'd be a little different. But, I mean, we're sitting here, you know, as we've been doing lately, our virtual podcast things. Hopefully, you know, we're on Zoom. Hopefully everybody realizes that, you know, this is a family-friendly show. We don't need any tubing going on. Oh, man. I thought I was on mute.
I don't think he's ever heard of a sticky note.
I know, right? Like, I'm just like, when I heard that story, I was just like, is this guy serious? Like, come on, man. Like, give it 30 minutes. Wait till you get off the work call, and then just go and handle your business if you're into that kind of thing. Just like not on the Zoom camera.
Yeah, gosh.
Tubing time. But all right. So swiveling back to music now. We've got apparently some news coming out at midnight tonight with Koe Wetzel. He's been he put out a TikTok today and put out something on Twitter last night. Andy, do you know, what do you think that's going to be coming out of Koe Wetzel's camp tonight at midnight?
All right. I'm leaning towards it's going to be that album that he was working on that I think he recorded at his house like a month or two ago. I'm leaning towards it. It's going to be that.
You think it's going to be the full album?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time he's dropped an album without telling anybody.
I mean, that's true. But I mean, I'm
more promotion than last time.
That's true. I mean, but what do you think, Kyle, before I give my thoughts on it?
I think he drops a single.
Single?
Yeah, I don't think it's a full album.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Kyle on this. I don't think it's a full album either. And the reason I say that is because the last time he dropped it, you know, without much notice. And to be fair, we were like the second outlet to cover Koe Wetzel's album being dropped. I remember people on Twitter were hitting us up going, is this real? When I rushed the article out, which is not really good journalistic, you know, standards, but I rushed it out, put it out on Twitter, and people were like, is this true? I'm like, look, I think it is. I've heard from pretty reliable sources that it is. But if it's not, I'll make a retraction. But thankfully we were right. But yeah, I mean, because he did it last time and because he's now on a major label, I'm really kind of not thinking that they're just going to drop. Because, I mean, he's not Beyonce and he's not even Eric Church when it comes to, like, national, like, I guess, popularity. So, like, if you want to make a big splash with your first record, I don't think this is the way they're going to do it. And I kind of agree with Kyle. I think it's going to be a single.
The only reason I say album too is because I think this album was done pre-record deal. I think. Yeah,
I mean, I think it was, but I mean, the record label is still involved now, and we all know how that changes the calculus when you're talking about promotion and release dates and whatnot.
We're also talking about a guy that was drinking tequila out of a jar with a snake in it.
Yeah, that's very accurate. You couldn't pay me to do that shit.
He's a crazy SOB, man.
He really is, man. Like, you know, he lives up to the reputation that he has made for himself with the crazy things he does. Like, my favorite thing.
He's a true rock star.
For sure. Yeah. And, like, we don't have enough of those out there. So I kind of hope Koe gets, like, selfishly, look, I'll admit, selfishly, I don't know how big I want Koe to get just because I enjoy seeing him at venues the size of the Ritz. I don't really like amphitheaters and arena concerts as much. But, like, you know, my selfishness aside, you know, it'd be kind of cool to see him blow up because we don't really have any real rock stars. When Imagine Dragons wins a Grammy a few years ago for a rock album of the year, it's a crying shame from where rock and roll used to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Koe is one of those people that, yeah, I mean, he definitely is living the life that he's portraying because he puts some crazy crap on Twitter sometimes.
Yeah, he's out there.
He is, man. My favorite thing he ever said on there was it was probably 11:30 midnight, something like that. He says, I'm just ripping cigs and feeding the cows. And then, like, you know, a couple hours go by, he's probably had a fifth of Jack Daniels, and he says, I don't even own any freaking cows. I'm like, Lord have mercy. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see what's happening with the Koe news tonight at midnight. Hopefully, look, I would be okay with the album, right? Like I'd love to have new music, but I think it's a single. So
to be determined.
TBD. All right. So main topic today, we kind of wanted to jump on this because Parker McCollum just released an EP called Hollywood Gold, and we're all big Parker fans. I think Kyle said he's kind of gotten into Parker since that first episode of Slapper Crap, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and Parker, just recently signed to a big label as well. This is his first release, like of a collection of songs, not just a single. When it comes to on the mainstream label, and it's produced by John Randall. I'm thinking that what he's probably going to do, because he did this with his last record, Probably Wrong, where he released like the first half. He released it in 2 parts. So I think this is probably the first half of the record, and then the second half will come, and it'll be combined on Spotify and Apple Music and anywhere you get your music. So, jumping into that, like, it's kind of cool to see a guy retain the creative control that he has and go into the mainstream. Hopefully he makes a big splash. And as Andy and I have said many, many times, Parker is the one guy from Texas that I can see making it really big because, objectively speaking, like, he's got the look. Like, the ladies love him. He's tall. He's got the chiseled jawline. Like, he's got a unique voice. I always have said that he's a mix between like country music and with just a little bit of John Mayer when it comes to like his style. So, and I know that he counts 2 of his biggest influences as John Mayer and George Strait, which, 2 solid people. Definitely George Strait in that one. But look, I'm a pretty big Mayer fan, man. I'm not going to sit here in front and act like I'm not. Like, I am. Half of my heart is a straight heater. I don't care what anybody says. Change my mind.
I actually don't know that much about John Mayer. I saw a clip of him being on the Chappelle show the other day. That's about the extent of my John Mayer knowledge.
I mean, John Mayer is a fantastic guitarist, and some of his stuff here is a little too poppy for me. But Kyle's shaking his head at me. I guess he isn't a fan of Jonathan Mayer.
No, I'm not. Between my 2 sisters and fiance, no. I've heard a little bit too much John Mayer.
Yeah.
According to Dave Chappelle, he can make white people dance.
I don't know.
I guess he can make us dance, but just not dance well, I guess, because Andy, I've seen you dance.
I'm just saying what Dave Chappelle said.
All right, so jumping into Hollywood Gold, start things off. Let's talk about, like, I guess the easy one. What's favorite song on the album? And Andy, if you want to start that, like, what's your favorite song off of Hollywood Gold?
I'm gonna have to say it's Pretty Heart.
Pretty Heart.
The reason I came to that conclusion too is that when you mentioned like talking about the favorite line, every time I come up with a favorite line, I basically started from the beginning of Pretty Heart and it's like, oh, that's my favorite line. Then I followed up my favorite line with the preceding line behind that until I had the whole song. So I was like, well, I guess I just like the song.
Yeah. Well, I
can't say it's my favorite line. I just like the entire song. And I think it's sort of got all of the classic like Parker writing topics in it as well. Mm-hmm. The kind of about, breaking the girl's heart, and then, and then also the part about where he's drinking like a drunkard in Austin and stuff, where he typically throws that into the mix of his writing style. It's my cup of tea when it comes to the song content lyric wise.
Yeah. It's funny that you picked that one though, to me, because
it was funny to me too.
Because it's funny though, because like it's probably the most pop leaning of any song he's ever put out.
And it's not the sound. I don't love the sound of it. I love the writing of it. I don't dislike the sound of it, but it's not my favorite sound, but I just really like the writing in it.
Yeah. I do agree to an extent. Like, it's not my favorite by any means, but I like the song. But I do like how in the chorus, it's like, what does that say about me that I could do you like I did? Like, it's kind of, it's pointing the gun back at yourself. I mean, I always like songs like that where, don't get me wrong, I jam out to some BJ Barham songs about F that girl. She did me wrong. I hope he breaks your heart kind of stuff. I really vibe on that. But, I do like the introspective, like if A, B, and C keep going wrong, with the only common denominator there is me. Right. So I kind of agree with you on that. What about you, Kyle? What's your favorite song off this EP?
So the easy choice would be Young Man's Blues. But I'm not going to be boring and pick that. So I actually is my favorite song other than Young Man's Blues. So my honorable mention would be Love You Like That.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, Parker has that John Mayer voice.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's not really his fault, but sometimes you can tell when he sings a song that I think might stretch his vocal limits a little bit. And I think it's not no fault of his own, but he's a great singer. But sometimes, he gets outside of his range.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of flirts with that in Pretty Hard.
Yeah.
But Love You Like That, I think he stays right in his range of where he sounds really unique and really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, plus, I think it's a pretty clever song the way it's written.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the bridge to that song is fantastic, where it says, like, because this is something that most guys have gone through until they finally meet the woman they're supposed to marry, whereas, like, the bridge is like, I heard your mama say you need a man that can love you more than the air he's breathing in, but I don't know if I can love you like that kind of thing. Like, we've all been there. Like, Lord knows we've all been there.
I mean, and like I said, it's a good song, and I think it fits his voice really well.
Yeah.
So that would be it's not my favorite, but it's my not boring Young Man's Blues pick.
Well, that's a good segue into my favorite, because I'm going to go with the boring pick. Young Man's Blues, man. Like, I really like almost every song on. I actually do. I can say that confidently. I like every song on the CP. I like them to varying degrees, of course, but Young Man's Blues, like, just sonically, as well as, like, the subject matter of the song, is definitely my favorite song. I said it kind of has like a country Tom Petty vibe that I've gotten from it, like with the tempo of the song, and just like, speaking about, just going through, like, kind of coming of age in some way. Like, Young Man's Blues really resonates with me like that, and it just sounds so good. Like, Andy and I were talking about the new Eric Church song. I kind of wanted to kind of deviate away a little bit of that and ask you your thoughts on that as an aside, because that Eric Church song, Andy and I were trying to put into an articulate statement as to why we like it. Because, I mean, it's just a kind of run-of-the-mill nostalgic love song, but it just sounds fantastic. And, like, Hell of a View is, like, that's the one I was talking about. I don't think I saw it, but Hell of a View, like, it just sounds fantastic. So, I mean, that's kind of the same thing I was thinking with Young Man's Blues. Like, I think it's a well-written song, but it sounds fantastic. So.
Well, as far as the Eric Church song, I can't articulate why it sounds so good.
I can't either.
It's just a good song.
It's got that, Andy, the best way he probably came, like, Andy and I were driving either to or from the Outer Banks. I can't remember. And he said, it has that it factor that that Springsteen did when that came out for Eric Church. Like, people would be like, well, this is one of his more poppy songs, not Hell of a View, but Springsteen was one of his more poppy songs. But Springsteen was a jam. Like, it was a reason it resonated with so many people. Like, it just sounded great. And I had that kind of nostalgic flair to that one as well. So, I mean, that works. I mean, it may not be, you're not reinventing the wheel, right? But it works. And it can make for a hell of a song that you can build a career on. Because I'm pretty sure Eric Church has paid for quite a bit of his properties and trucks off of Springsteen. So, but yeah, my favorite, back to Parker, back to the topic here, is definitely Young Man's Blues. But now, I always like to differentiate between your favorite versus the best, because a lot of times my favorite song from somebody is not necessarily their best song. Mm-hmm. And so, Kyle, what did you think was the best song on Hollywood Gold?
The best is Young Man's Blues. It, like I said, it just resonates with you. It's I think that song is the one song that you could play to someone that may not even really be a country music fan.
Right.
It's just something you can have on, and somebody be like, "Oh, this is a pretty good song." Who's this guy? And you could get him. I mean, that's how I became a Parker fan.
Yeah.
Just with this song, it's just a really easy listen, and I think that song we could see, maybe not on like local country music, but I think more like in North Carolina 94.7, the Raleigh station.
You mean the country for people that live in suburbia?
Yes, exactly. I could see that song on that station.
Yeah, I heard it on the station in outside of Lexington, Kentucky, 2 days ago.
Really?
Okay.
Really? What, Young Man's Blues?
Yep.
Really? I didn't know he sent that to radio. I thought it was a promo single, but maybe
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was the local radio. It was what was on in the building.
Okay, let's get into that because I didn't think you listened to radio.
It was I was playing in the store.
Okay, makes sense.
I was saying it the year. I was saying it at the urinal, and I was like, man, this song sounds good.
Andy's sitting there.
That's actually what I was thinking to myself.
Were you tubing?
It's still weird to walk into a store and hear Parker playing.
Yeah.
No, that not in public.
Not in public. All right, enough tubing talk, I guess. But yeah. So, Andy, what was your song that you said was the best on the album or the EP?
There's 3 songs that were equal to me.
Okay. You got to pick one, man. Like we
did
did this with the Dalton Domino album review.
I am going to pick.
You picked half the album as a highlight, and I was like, you got to pick something. You can't all be highlights.
Oh, I'm going to pick one.
And he's like 6 songs. I can pick 3.
To pick something other than Pretty Heart, and then you're going to pick the other one is I'm going to go with Love You Like That.
Right.
To me, it's equal to Pretty Heart, and it's, as y'all have already said, is the same thing Kyle was saying about it. And what you said about it, basically, same.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a great song. I'm a fan of that one. For me, I think the best one was "Hold Me Back." Actually, okay. My first listen through, right? It didn't connect with me immediately. It was a little bit of a tempo change. Other than like a Cowboy, this was one of the more like slower tempo songs on the EP. But upon a second listen, and that's why I always say, like, when you go back and listen to things and they hit you a second time and a third time, and you continue to be able to like the song, and you pick out new things in the song, those are actually the more quality songs. Because when songs, you immediately like them, I liken it to a sugar rush. You eat a bunch of candy, it's great for a minute, and then you kind of forget about it, and you're just like, it wasn't that good. This wasn't that. This was the complete opposite. And Hold Me Back, it was, like I said, it's a slower tempo song that I know that I can relate, and I'm sure from knowing Andy, as long as I have, Andy can relate to. It's almost like you're sitting there, and the way you kind of are taking inventory of what's been going on, and you've kind of realized you've been engaging in some self-destructive behavior in some capacity, and you really need something to act as a governor on the speed in which you're going down the road of life. And I think that he was saying, he needs that girl to be able to like control his rambling inclinations, I guess, is the best way I can put it.
I like that song right from the get-go.
Did you?
First listen. And then, because it was something about it that just stood out. That one line that it was where he says that, "Where I'm headed, babe, I'll be hard to reach." For some reason, that line really like made my ears perk up like the first time I heard it.
Well, I mean, that's your life, though.
Pretty much. Well, Andy, not hard to reach, though.
Andy's in a different state every time we record one of these.
Yeah. I'm not hard to reach, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's just due to technology. But yeah, I mean, I definitely understand why that related to you very well, a lot. But yeah, I mean, definitely was holding me back for me. I mean, like I said, it's just I think it's a interesting song, but it wasn't in this. So I hate boyfriend country, right? All these songs about how I can't breathe without the girl being here, and I can't sit here and live my life without them, because look, it may be difficult, but you probably can, man. Like, get over yourself. You can. It's like all the songs likening to her love like a drug. Like, that's been done a million times. This is a song where he was saying, I can keep going this way. I may end up dead in a ditch somewhere, but I can keep going this way. I just, if she were here, it's going to be probably keep me and help me to live longer and be, probably a better person. So I think it's just it's a different take on needing that special someone in your life without it being so sappy, cheesy, I love you so much, baby bullshit that we hear from everybody on country radio.
Yeah. It was kind of that line to what you said there. It's like, what was it? Bet it all on black and get stuck on the track.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that line, was that your favorite line you picked?
No, my favorite line is just going to have to be is that where I'm headed, I'll be hard to reach. The only reason that I don't really love it is because the line that follows that line that goes with it, that's what got me. And it's not, it's the fact that he used that there's no one in the shotgun seat. Yeah. I like that use of shotgun seat. I am so sick of hearing it. It's just ruined it for me.
And I even like buzzword, man. And like that's I'm right there with you.
I like how he used it. I love how he used it, but
he used it in the right context. It's just the phrase has been done so much. I'm just all right, enough.
I like what he's getting at and everything, I want to like it, but I'm just so sick of hearing it.
Yeah, I feel you on that. What about you, Kyle? Did you have a favorite line from any of the songs?
Yes, mine came from Pretty Hard. Been drinking like a drunkard in these Austin neon lights because there's not.
Is that maybe some autobiographical context you might be offering there?
Yes, because there's not many songs that I can absolutely directly relate to. Yeah, but I can absolutely directly relate to drinking like a drunkard in Austin.
In Austin, Texas. Yeah,
yes, I absolutely could. When I heard that, I was like, yeah, me too, brother. Me too.
Down on Dirty Sixth.
Yeah, absolutely. having a grand old time.
Taking care of John that night. He was a mess.
One hell of a bachelor party, man.
Yeah, so we went down on a bachelor party to Austin, Texas. It was my first real stop in Texas. I mean, I don't count a layover at DFW a few years ago. It was like my first time actually venturing cities of Texas, and we went to Austin. And it was needless to say, it was a fun weekend. We have one friend who is the best way I can describe it, I guess, is the way Kyle described it. Is he's a great guy and a great time to hang out with. But he's straight up goon sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. He can turn a funeral into a party.
Oh yeah. Like for reference, when the guy that we went on this trip with for his bachelor party, when he was dancing with his wife at the wedding, supposed to be super romantic and be respectful during their first dance, he was making fart noises in the back. Yeah. Andy, you missed a hell of a weekend.
Yeah, I was busy dying of corona.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't come though, even though I probably caught it like 3 weeks later.
I caught it 3 weeks ago.
Did you?
Yes.
Were you asymptomatic or did you get sick?
I was kind of sick for like 2 days, 2 or 3 days. I felt pretty bad.
Oh yeah, that's what happened to me. 2.5 days, and then I was kind of like good by the third day.
I was sick for 2 weeks.
I was the worst. The first presidential debate, I was just laying in bed. I was like, I can't listen to this anymore.
Yeah,
it's making me more nauseous.
I feel like a lot of people couldn't listen to it anymore, and they didn't have COVID.
Yes, it was awful.
But yeah, so like for me, my favorite line has to be probably. This sounds very like I hate to even say this. I picked the boring pick on my favorite song. I'm picking the on your nose pick on this song, but the first line, or the whole chorus of "Hold Me Back" is fantastic. It's like there's gasoline all over this ground. I strike a match and drop it down. I need someone to hold me back. Like that's a relatable thing to most people because at some point in your life you've been there. You've been there where you're like I've been kind of making a mess lately, and if it ignites in the right way, it could burn all down to the ground. So that was just relatable. But like I said, I went for the boring pick again. I don't know what's wrong with it.
But I was having the same thing when I was trying to actually pick what would be like a full just favorite line. Then I just realized I just like the whole song. It's not really one particular line. I just like the entire song.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how Pretty Hard is to me. Like I just like every line. I like all of them. There's not one that really stands out, which is a good thing for an EP where I really can't pick one specific favorite line because it's so many that are just they're all good.
What's the weak song on this EP?
To me, it's Like a Cowboy. It's not that I necessarily think it's a bad song. I just don't really get it. To me, the song, we've talked about it before, it doesn't make total sense to me, really. Right. I don't completely understand what he's getting at, which it could be a bad song if I don't get it, but it could be that I just don't get it. And for me, the other, to me, what's a weak song, it's just because it's not for me, would be Young Man's Blues, but it's just because it's not for me. Not my cup of tea. Or lyrically speaking, it's not my cup of tea. But it does sound good.
Yeah. Kyle?
Like a Cowboy, like Andy said. I just don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, that makes three of us. I mean, I get the song, but I don't love the song. Like, it's one of those things that if it came on the radio, I wouldn't change it. But if I'm in my Spotify and I'm picking the songs I want to play, I skip that one probably more than I do the others. It's not that it's inherently a bad song because it's not. It's a fine song. It's a decent song. It It doesn't do it for me like the other ones do.
I could see where someone would really like it.
Yeah. You know,
but
one
I
thing,
ain't that person.
One that we hadn't talked about yet is Halle Ray Light. And Andy and I have slightly different opinions on it now, but we both like the song because we heard it so many, like we heard it live once and then we've heard it on YouTube a bunch. But
yep.
Andy, what was your issue with how the studio version came out?
I didn't like it's the opening guitar riff, and I guess it would be the same riff that's in the start of the chorus. To me, it is so like loud in the like mix, I guess the word would be, that it's kind of annoying to me.
Right.
It's like the lead guitarist and the vocalist both fighting for the attention in the mix, and it annoys me.
Yeah, I can agree slightly. I wasn't disappointed, so to speak, with the way it came out, but I didn't love it at first like I thought I would. I listened to that one a lot, actually, now. The more I listen to it, the more I like it, but I will say it's a little slick compared to what I was expecting. I think that the production on it is just turned up just a notch too high.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit, just a tad bit overproduced.
Yeah, it's the production that I have the issue with. It's nothing like that Parker. Did Brady play guitar on this EP for the recording?
I don't know, because typically in Nashville, they do session musicians that do the recordings. But with Parker coming from Texas, he might record with his band. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I haven't looked at the liner notes to see who's the players.
2 days ago, I don't think Brady was playing at.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. But I don't think it's anything that really was to do with. I think it's just the production.
Right. I mean, I can agree for the most part on that. Like, I like it. I mean, I do. I think it's a good song. I think the more I listen to the studio version, it grows on me. But I do agree that it was slightly overproduced compared to what I guess we set our expectations probably based on what we heard live. And generally speaking, I tend to prefer live music to the studio versions of a lot of things if you're there and you hear it and the band is good. But, you know, I agree. I think it was a little bit overproduced. I mean, Kyle, you never heard the live version, did you?
I have not.
Yeah. The live, that was one of the first of the new songs we heard because it went all over YouTube. We covered it on the website.
I believe it was the first.
I think it was. And, you know, for context, it's named, and I don't know if it's written after, but it's named after his girlfriend, Halle Ray Light. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So that's her name. But yeah, funny thing about this song, randomly, right before I was about to go to bed the other night, I told Andy this. I haven't told you yet, Kyle, but I tweeted out the opening line to that song because I really think it's killer. About it's finally raining. Pretty soon I'll be leaving. It's good to see your face, but I'm doing my best to read it. And then I tagged Parker in it. Just was like, what the hell? He probably won't see it. Immediately he retweeted it. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man, my phone blew up for like 2 days. We ended up with 30 new followers, like 350 likes and like 52 retweets. It was insane. I'm just like, hey, Parker, if by any chance you or anyone that's in your camp hears this, send a few more of those retweets my way, brother. Please.
Yeah, hit us with that plug.
Yeah, please. Because that was we got 30 new followers based off of that tweet alone.
The best tweet we've had since we clicked those stupid dominoes together when we were drinking that one time.
I had Bond Brothers.
That everybody liked.
Oh, everybody. And that was at the very beginning when we started this thing. It got us a lot of followers. We
like the first day.
We did a boomerang on Instagram of two dominoes clicking together, and we said, I hear the clicking of the dominoes. And then it just took off. And we clicked dominoes together. It was so ridiculous, but people liked it. And you know, it's been so long. I think I'm going to break that one out again sometime soon.
I looked it up just to
get a second run out of it.
It got 150 likes on it.
Yeah, because we were sitting there and like Andy and I were probably like 2 or 3 IPAs in, and we were just like, "Brother, this thing's lighting up." We were like, "Is it this easy to start a podcast and a Twitter?" Then it didn't happen for like 2 years.
I mean, hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You just had to go viral once.
Exactly. I mean, and we went mini viral. Well, not even really mini viral. We had a decently performing tweet thanks to one Parker McCollum recently. But like I said, 30 new followers on Twitter in one day is nothing to sneeze at. But
no, not at all. It's a good day.
Yeah. But circling back to, the EP Hollywood Gold by Parker McCollum. Sonically, what did you guys think? Because I guess for me, it was about what I expected. I do think that it's still very much his sound, but you can tell it's a little bit slicker than his independently released stuff when he was strictly just, labeled a Texas artist. I think it's slightly slicker than the other albums were, but it still sounds good. So what's your take on, like, sonically speaking, Hollywood Gold?
I think it's good.
And see, I wanted to get your take too, because like you're a relatively new fan. So
there's this, me personally, I don't see a major difference between some of his other stuff. But I'm not deeply ingrained compared to you and Andy. This is just a rough through listening, a handful of times. I haven't noticed that big of a difference, but maybe over time, or maybe when he drops a full album, I can compare it to a previous album and really have a better opinion on that.
Yeah. What about you, Andy?
Well, for what you said earlier about Pretty Heart, that song is pretty different than the previous stuff. And I agree with you for the most part. It's not too different. It's a little different. And at times vocally, I always thought previously he had like I'm probably going to butcher some music terms here, but like the like tempo or like the way that he would sing and was in a sort of like unorthodox rhythm at times, I guess if that's what it makes sense at all, is the I don't really hear that as much in this as it to me as previously. If nobody's probably heard it, but from the one of the new songs he's done is Dallas from The Divide. That song to me really showcased what I'm talking about, how it's kind of like a unorthodox like rhythm to the way he sings. It's not like totally.
I can't wait to hear the studio version of that.
I love the Divide version because it showcases that like unorthodox like changing rhythm of the way vocally he sings.
One thing I've noticed about Parker live versus Parker in the studio is the tempo's increased a little bit on his songs in the studio. Live, it tends to be like at least until they hash it out and they get in sync on what the studio version is supposed to sound like. When he plays it before they record it, like all these songs seem to be a little bit slower in tempo when he's playing it. You know what I mean?
And I can see too, is it in that sense of like what I'm talking about. At times, if you don't know anything about Parker, and I guess a lot of listeners that, from the label standpoint, are not big lyric listeners, they're gonna think like, "Hey, this guy."
They're
sounds
looking
like
with dollar signs more than anything.
It's like this guy sounds like he's drunk, stuttering over his words.
Well,
sound.
Some of the songs you may be referring to, like he's talked about this on his first album, Limestone Kid. He recorded some of those when he had a cold. So that's why he sounded a little differently in a few of those tracks than he did on Probably Wrong and Now Hollywood Gold.
Yeah, it's not as noticeable in those albums, but you can still pick it up a little bit.
Yeah.
To me, I agree with you. Other than Pretty Heart, to me, Pretty Heart did sound quite a bit more of a, I guess you would call it a mainstream sound.
Yeah.
Than anything else. But Like a Cowboy was a little different.
Yeah.
But it's similar to like I Can't Breathe and Hell of a Year, but it's kind of like a totally more of a different like piano song, really.
Well, see, it's funny. It's funny you bring that up because a lot of Probably Wrong was, for the most part, like I think it was piano driven. He had a lot of prominent piano parts off of Probably Wrong, which he didn't have as much of on Limestone Kid, and he doesn't have as much of here. Like a Cowboy notwithstanding, the rest of it's just guitars, like it's guitar driven music and then like some of them are more lyrically driven, but yeah, I mean, and Probably Wrong, he definitely, and I actually appreciate that, where it was a little bit different each time. I felt that it was a good thing in Probably Wrong, like it was good use of piano within the mix within each track. So
yeah, I like the piano songs. Like Hell of a Year and I Can't Breathe are two of my favorite songs he's done.
Yeah,
big pianos, and I do like it when he does it.
Andy likes the slow piano ballads. It sounds like
I do, but what I'll say is that like a Cowboy is not necessarily a slow piano ballad, and that was that's why I don't think I love that as much as his other piano songs. It's not necessarily a slow like kind of sad piano ballad. It's a piano ballad about something I'm not really totally sure what it's about.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, overall, just to kind of like summarize, I'm fine with the sound of the EP.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I just, as long as they don't keep going even further past what Pretty Heart was. That's where I would start.
Yeah, and one positive thing is Parker himself in an interview has said that Pretty Heart's about as far in that direction as he'll go, and everything else is to the right of that. It's not like he's not going out and further in left field. Of where Pretty Heart was. That's the line for him when it comes to, I guess, the poppiness, so to speak, of his record.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I am too. Like, I mean, I think it's just good sounding, like modern country music. It's and by modern country, I don't mean like radio country. I just mean like 2020 country music. It's not like neo trad or traditional. It's just like modern day country music. You know what I mean? Like roots music. So, but the only criticisms I really have of this is I do think that on a couple tracks here and there was a little bit slicker than I'd like it to be. But I mean, he is a mainstream artist now, so it's kind of like to be expected. And you're gonna have to, take your lumps with the good and anybody that's tied up with Nashville. But also, I got to get back to the whole shotgun seat thing. I think he used it correctly in the context, but it's just like it sounds so much like a buzzword. It's like, as much as I like Luke Combs, it's like when Luke Combs sings a song with beer in it a million times. Like, we've heard it 1,001 times. Like, at some point, I just get tired. I totally understand why they put it in there, because they're buzzwords people hear and go with, but it's a buzzword, and shotgun seats kind of been done to death. So at least he wasn't like, "Hey, pretty girl, you wouldn't done it again," like Chase Rice did when we had Classic Rock Carter on to read it.
I'm not going to slap him with a critique on that, because I don't necessarily think that's not his fault, because I like the way he used it. Everybody else just ruined it for him.
Yeah. It's not so much what Parker did wrong. It's just what everyone else did to the phrase. And now I'm just kind of get irked when anyone uses it. But what about y'all? Do y'all have any critiques that really stuck out to you?
The production of Hallie Ray Light did stick out to me. That was my big critique of it. I just, the way that guitar came out, it was just annoying. I didn't really like. I did think it's a little slick, but that guitar is so annoying to me. It's hard for me to even focus on anything else. Yeah. And I think it's a little slick, like you said, in production. But I think too that might make it easier for him to gain more, I guess, mainstream type fans. And if that's what it takes to make him, I guess, more of a success, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I prefer it not, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm a pragmatist.
The numbers add up.
It's like I told, like when we had the guys from Hippies and Cowboys on last episode. Everyone should go check that out. I believe it was episode 21 with the Hippies and Cowboys host. That was a good episode. Fun thing. Hopefully we can do another crossover with them again. But available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, anywhere you get your podcast. But like we said, I know this is audio and everybody can't see me, but say, the mainstream is Walt over here to the right, and Whiskey Riff is like right up next to him. The Hippies and Cowboys guys are far away in the opposite direction here on the left of being against mainstream. Country and Cold Cans, we kind of ride that middle. We're not hate everything just because it's mainstream, but we also don't cozy up to everybody just because they have a big following either. So I mean, we kind of ride that middle on if it's good and I like it, I'll cover it. If I hate it, I'll cover it and trash it. But I'm not going to just shit on it just because it's from the mainstream. And I'm also not just going to praise it just because somebody says whiskey and beer a million times. So it's just kind of where we're at. But yeah, Kyle, did you have any criticisms on the EP?
No criticisms. My main opinion, and this might be a trash opinion. Tell me if it is.
It's a trash opinion.
I think Parker does what Cole Swindell wants to do.
Right.
Cole Swindell always has those like slow songs with like a good melody behind it.
Yeah.
But he can't keep up with a fast melody.
Yeah.
And I think Parker can still be a slow vocal with a more upbeat melody. He can pull that.
Yeah.
I think that is what Cole Swindell, as like an analogy to a mainstream.
Yeah. Cole Swindell too, like he sings a little flat almost every time.
Right.
He sings.
I think Parker has an ability to still be his vocals can still be, a couple beats slower than the music.
Yeah.
And it still works.
Yeah. Yeah, Parker too is like he's just flat out countryer than in sound than Cole Swindell, and like I actually think Cole Swindell's a good dude. I really do. Mm-hmm. He has some songs that I kind of like, but he has a lot of them that I think are garbage. So, I mean, like I said, we call balls and strikes on country and cold cans. We don't trash it just because of who it came from. We give it a shot, and then if we like it, we like it. If we don't, we'll say it sucks. So, but Parker McCollum, we're fans. We're a fan of Hollywood Gold, fan of pretty much most of the stuff he's done. And I think that he's going to blow up. I mean, what do you guys think on that? I guess that's a good kind of ending segment for this Parker EP. Is like, how do you see this performing, and how do you see Parker's career going within the next few years now that he's on a mainstream label?
Well, Andy apparently has heard it in a gas station or something in Kentucky, but
more than once.
What I think will probably happen is like the Highway on XM will pick up like Pretty Hard or one of their songs.
I think.
Yeah, Pretty Hard actually is already a top 40 single. I think it's might be in 20. It went gold.
Certified gold or something.
Yeah, he said he finally has a gold record on his wall. So I mean, that was his first, like, I guess, minor to major hit that he's had.
Yeah, I'm extremely cheap and don't pay for XM, but
yeah, I mean, I don't either. I use Spotify.
Yes, I think like the Highway, the Highway or one of those XM stations will pick it up, and then he'll, people will be like, oh, I really like this guy, and then they'll go strumming through some more of his less known songs, and that's how he blows up.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because when you remember we saw Mikkel Buck in Weldon.
Yeah.
There was an old classmate of mine from my old high school. Hadn't seen him in years. And Mikkel Buck started playing a Parker song, because he opened for Parker when Andy and I saw Parker in Raleigh. Excuse me. And I looked at my buddy I hadn't seen in years, and I was like, I said, this Parker McCollum song. He goes, oh, yeah, Pretty Hard. That thing's a jam. So it's like mainstream listeners are starting to hear him, which I think is a good thing. Hopefully he just stays the course with his statement where he said he wants to make Luke Bryan money with Chris Knight quality songs. As long as he sticks to that, it'll be okay. He'll get famous, make lots of money, and we'll still have good music to point to and say he's one of the good guys.
I hope so.
Yeah. But
I have no idea how it's going to work out.
No idea.
I have no idea, because I can't make any prediction.
Don't you know on talk shows like this, we're supposed to give prognostications with no basis whatsoever, and we're just supposed to act like we know? You're never supposed to admit you don't know.
Oh, and you're supposed to pontificate with no backing. Just
we're even taking the safe route doing music. If we were doing sports or politics, we could just sit out there and be wrong 9 out of 10 times and get paid hundreds of $1,000s a year to be on TV and the radio.
Just have a dramatic opinion.
Yeah. Be the Skip Bayless of Texas country music.
I have no idea what the mainstream wants or listens to. It every time I think something's going to work, it never does. And every time Tyler Childers for the perfect example. I have no idea why that guy. Wouldn't have. Love Tyler Childers. Wouldn't have thought that would have been the guy. That would have been one of the last guys I would have said the mainstream people would have picked up on.
No, I'm with you on that. Like him and Cody Jinks in the same way, because all three of our mutual friend James, like he likes Tyler Childers and Cody Jinks, which perplexes me to no end. I mean, James leans a little bit more by his own admission, leans a little bit more mainstream with his listening habits. And he likes both those guys. So I mean, I don't understand what the broad appeal for those guys are, because they're both country as cornbread, and it's not like skinny jeans like on the tailgate kind of country girl shake it for me kind of thing either.
And then the people that I think that they would pick up on, they never do. Yeah.
What are you going to say, Kyle?
A little off track, but I do think the Cody Jinks and the Tyler Childers, I hope this doesn't happen, but I do think it'll be like a whiplash effect, because there are those people, and I'm probably one of them, that likes to say that I was in them before everyone else was in them, so now I don't like them anymore, because
Andy has some tendencies like that at times too.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen, but there are a lot of people like that. They're like, I just can't listen to it. They're too mainstream now.
Yeah,
just because they got popular. It's no fault of their own.
And in both of y'all's defense, though, I will come to your defense on this. Sometimes when that happens, it's because their music does actually change.
Yeah,
so that's what I think.
But see, like, not every time though. That, like, saying it happened. Now I like you're doubling down, Andy. Now you're getting the hang of this talk show thing. but double down when I'm wrong. Never apologize. Apologizes for weak people. But no, I mean, I don't think it happens every time, but I do think it happens a lot, and that's where us as independent Texas, country music fans, like Red Dirt fans, we're all gun shy when somebody gets some mainstream success and signs to a big label, because we've seen it a million times, and they try to chase, a broader appeal, and the music suffers as a result. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that kind of wraps up, Hollywood Gold. Overall, I think it was a really good EP. I'm excited to hear the full length. I mean, if I had to give it a rating, I'd say I'd probably give it 4 stars out of 5.
I'll give it I'll give it 10 donuts out of a dozen.
If it was a pizza review, Andy, what would you give it?
I'd give it
do it in a Dave Portnoy voice.
I can't even how to do
You ever been to Nantucket? It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I'd give it a 7. I'd give it an 8 point. I'd give it 7.9.
Yeah, 7.9 out of 10.
Yeah.
You're an 8.9 out of 20.
20.
But no, yeah, so I think it's a good EP. I agree. We'll see what the Koe Wetzel news is tonight. I wouldn't be mad at a full-length album. It gives us some other stuff to talk about here shortly, but I'm with Kyle. I think it's going to be a single, so we'll keep our eyes and ears open for the news coming from Koe Wetzel now that he's on his big deal, and we'll keep an eye on this Parker McCollum stuff, see how it does with the streaming numbers and on the charts. So, for episode 22, maybe. I don't even know at this point. For this episode of Country and Cold Cans, I'm Logan here with Kyle and Andy and his Dodge Dakota. We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.
Yep. All I got to say is that if Parker, you keep retweeting us, we'll call you the kid.
There you go. All right.